been practicing for almost 50 years, transportation law.
Ministry of Transportation Ontario, they are in action. 182 or 185 commercial Class A licenses.
Was the reason to have done such a draconian action of depriving the person of their livelihood? No driving for 90 days. For drivers was that they would have to actually take 5 months off without any salary. You can't really find another job. Government is at fault. The government should have done something to enhance their supervision of the schools. Don't give them a license to be a training school if you're not confident that they can do it.
So driving test centers or the training schools, those who are the defaulters, should be shut down.
So I don't see why the trucking schools were targeted, and more particularly the drivers who did the exams and paid their fees, and they're totally innocent.
In US, the accident happened, a U-turn, it's a world news that U-turn happened, and after that the Canadian roads are not safe. Being a lawyer, do you agree that anyone who is a defaulter or who obtained these licenses fraudulently, they should be punished and even to be deported? Do you agree that defaulters, in this case out of 185, whosoever is a defaulter should face the heat? The personal car licenses also being suspended for these. What are the rights of these truck drivers whose license being suspended? What they have to do? Approximately 2 years ago, CBC broke a story about the mess in the trucking industry, how the sale and purchase of the jobs, LMIA scam, and unsafe driving on the roads. After that, the investigation went on, and recently, Ministry of Transportation Ontario, they suspended few of the driving licenses, commercial Class A licenses. Approximately 182 or 185 licenses were suspended. Along with these licenses, they also suspended their personal driving license, their personal car licenses also being suspended. We have a transportation lawyer, Mr. Richard, with us. He has a 49 years of experience as a transportation lawyer, and he wrote 10 books. We will ask him what is the course of action, what are the rights of these truck drivers who lost their licenses, and where we stand as of today. Mr. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mr. Richard, tell us about your law firm and about yourself.
Well, I've been practicing for almost 50 years, transportation law. I was a professor, associate professor of transportation for many years. I've written, as you say, 10 books on transport law. And my practice is with trucking companies and transportation brokers, and that's all I do.
Okay.
And that's been my career.
Quite a long experience in the transportation industry.
For a number of years, yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to have continued all this time.
Richard, Ministry of Transportation Ontario, they are in action. Because there was many backlash, there were many demands that many things are not correct and ministry has to act, and ministry finally acted and they suspended 182 or 185 commercial Class A licenses. Yeah. What is the scenario, if you can give us both the angles? Because ministry says that these licenses being obtained by dishonestly, and there is a zero tolerance, we won't tolerate. And in investigation, very soon we will come up with a press conference with OPP to release the names and all the defaulters. What do you have to say, being a lawyer?
Well, I don't know what the ministry has or what those inspectors have found, but naturally, in law, you have to prove your case. And I've met with about 60 of the drivers so far. And the narrative has been very clear that you have an innocent person who's come to Canada. He has done nothing wrong. he took the 108 hours of driving school, paid for it, and passed. And then he took the Ministry of Transportation exam, which was the road test exam, and passed that. And then he has been driving for 2 years, 3 years, even some of them 5 years. So the record shows, and I mean, the people who I've met with, for example, we have right now an appeal going on to the License Appeal Tribunal. The appellant, he didn't have any tickets. So there was no HTA tickets, no out of service, no suspensions. So he had a perfect record. Not even a driving ticket for his passenger car, at least personal car.
Yeah.
So when you see something like that, you have to wonder, what was the reason to have done such a draconian action of depriving the person of their livelihood? After all, that letter that the Ministry of Transportation wrote, the Deputy Registrar said, no driving for 90 days.
Yes.
And so the person who received the letter would have had to not drive for 90 days, even his car, and then he'd have to take another driving school course for another 108 hours. So that would take conceivably 5 weeks, let's just say. And so ultimately the burden that was made given to these poor drivers was that they would have to actually take 5 months off without any salary and hope that the next round of driving schools that they would be able to drive. Now the reality is that they really couldn't do that because many of them have bonded work permits. So they can only work for one company.
That's right.
And secondly, if you are told that you can't drive for 90 days, if you think about it, you can't really find another job. Firstly, if you have a work permit that only restricts you to a truck driving position, you wouldn't be able to. But even assuming that you don't have the work permit, that you would go to a store or some other place of business and say, I want to work for 90 days. But after 90 days, I'm going to leave you because I want to become a truck driver.
So in your view, what should have been the scenario? What should ministry, because when ministry has a list of the people, these are the defaulters, these driving schools are the defaulters, what should they had done differently instead of suspending the licenses?
So that's a great question. Last year, in June, the Ministry of Transportation sent out other letters. And those letters said, we would like you to come in and take a vision and a written test within 60 days. And then we would like you to take a road test within 120 days. Assuming that you pass both tests, then you continue with your Class A. If you don't pass, then you will have a D license. So you would be able to drive a truck, but not a combination. So they did that last year. I think that was the prudent thing to do. So ultimately what the ministry should have done is they should have given these poor drivers the chance, if they were totally unsatisfied with something in their record, give them a chance to do a retest. Bring them to just like they did before last year, bring them to the Ministry of Transportation and a facility, have them retested. And if they cannot drive, if there is something wrong with their brake knowledge, air brakes, or if they are not qualified, then at that point, take away their license. Don't take away before you've even tried. Some of these drivers, as I said, have been driving for years, 2 years, 3 years, and they've been driving on the highways. They've been in the United States, all across Canada, thousands of miles, so they can drive. And if there was an error, it would have been maybe to focus, instead of on the drivers, focus on the schools. If they didn't have confidence in the schools, these vocational schools that were certified by the government is at fault. The government should have done something to enhance their supervision of the schools. Don't give them a license to be a training school if you're not confident that they can do it.
So driving test centers or the training schools, those who are the defaulters, should be shut down if they are involved into these scams?
If there's any kind of incident where there's wrongdoing, then it's the school that establishes the program. So if one were to find that some of the schools didn't have an adequate testing program or didn't have an adequate training program, then definitely they shouldn't be around. But this applies incidentally to all schools, all vocational schools, nursing schools, paralegal schools, dental schools. So I don't see why the trucking schools were targeted, and more particularly the drivers who did the exams and paid their fees, and they're totally innocent from what I have seen.
Yes, so I agree with you why trucking schools are being targeted, because the road safety is a big concern. When we had seen in US the accident happen, a U-turn, it's a world news that U-turn happened, and after that the Canadian roads are not safe. And we have seen many of these newcomers, those who are on LMIA, when they obtain these licenses, they are driving with slippers on, not with the shoes on, with the slippers on. And those kind of road safety concerns are with the Canadians. Ministry was under pressure after the CBC report that we have to act, and they are into action. Reasons they gave us that it's a dishonestly they obtained these licenses. That's the reason their personal car driving license is also suspended, and they gave them a appeal that you can appeal. If you're innocent, then we will reinstate your licenses. Can you tell me, like, those, because there are thousands of truck drivers here in Ontario. In Canada, figure is much higher. Only 185 approximately people got suspension letters. Only 185 out of thousands of truck drivers. So being a lawyer, do you agree that anyone who is a defaulter or who obtained these licenses fraudulently, they should be punished and even to be deported because they misused our system? Being a lawyer, what you'll say?
Well, there are, as you say, in Canada, apparently 1 million jobs that are attributed to transportation. So it's a huge and a very important part of our fabric, and the livelihoods of so many people and the dependents, their families, their children. So I myself think that the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario does a very good job in terms of surveying the driving. For example, there are, as you know, so many inspection stations, and in my line of work, I see that, you know, whenever someone goes above the speed, or somebody is too heavy in their truck, or if they don't have the logbooks, they get tickets, and they get points, CVOR points. And the ministry is vigilant to make sure that the certain percentage of truck drivers who are not obeying the rules will not continue. So I'm always so proud that in our province we have a very safe system. And so there are some disruptors, as there would be, I guess, in any system. So in those cases, if somebody is acting in a way that's criminal, they definitely should be prosecuted. But you need the evidence to show that these people are somehow, in my experience, I have not met anyone who has obtained a license without going through all the steps. I think these are the people I met. They passed their exams. as they should have. They took the courses as they should have. And I don't think it was wise for the Ministry of Transportation to, in advance, suspend these licenses without they should have given them another path like they did last year.
Okay, so what are the rights of these truck drivers whose license being suspended? What they have to do from here?
Yes.
What is their course of action?
So they should go to the lawyer who will take an appeal before the License Appeal Tribunal.
Okay.
And
how many people reached out to you out of 185?
Well, you see, this is something that's quite recent.
Okay.
And so we only have a couple of the drivers who are embarking upon this trip of going to the LAT, but there may be more, and they may use other lawyers also. And the process is very straightforward. You have to go before the License Appeal Tribunal. You have to show them what school you went to, how many hours of coursework you had, did you in fact pass the Ministry of Transportation exams, and so forth. And once the lawyer files the appeal, then the law is such that you will have a hearing within only 30 days. Yeah. It's expedited. And so the path to protest this is really just to get a lawyer to help you with an appeal before the License Appeal Tribunal.
Okay. So if someone has to reach out to you, how can they reach? Any phone number?
Yes. So my phone number is 905-319-1244. And my name is Lande, Lande. And you can look up at the website Lande, Lande, law.
Okay. Mr. Richard, many test driving centers, driving schools, you said why the ministry is targeting the trucking industry. The reason is, like we have seen, and hopefully you will agree with me, that there is so much of frauds and wrong applications going on to the mortgage field. People getting their mortgages, they don't have incomes, still they are getting approved for the mortgages. Their income should be, I think Ministry of Finance, they should do an investigation how many people in last 5 years got their mortgages fraudulently. I think banks, builders, or whosoever is involved, they should be punished. Same thing the real estate sector, same thing immigration sector. But Ministry of Transportation actually acted, and other ministries should follow, and whole of the Canada should follow that. The defaulters should be punished, not the innocent. Do you agree that many other fields having the same kind of fraudulent practices going on here in Canada?
So I myself don't know about the fraudulent practices for the transport industry because I have not seen it. If at the License Appeal Tribunal stage, the Crown brings forward some specific information on a particular driver, then of course the judges will look at that carefully, but I don't know of anyone who has been a corrupt party. I don't have any of that information. The ones that I have met are innocent drivers.
Yes. So the personal car license is also being suspended for these. Any comment on that?
Well, I think it's an overreach. Like there should have been some provision to allow the people to drive their own cars. There was never any problem with them getting a G license. So there should have been some forethought that, okay, if we're going to suspend someone's A license, let's at least make it possible for them to drive their personal car during the 90 days. But that wasn't seemingly thought of. And it's caused enormous problems. You can imagine if any individual who's watching this, their car, all of a sudden you can't drive. So how are you supposed to take your kids to school? How are you supposed to go to the grocery store? What about your way of even conducting yourself during 90 days? You have to stay at home. It's shameful.
We need your comment on, because Ontario was the only province where the visitor to Canada, or a newcomer to Canada, or a visitor to Canada who cannot study, but he was eligible to get a commercial driving license. Many people from other provinces, BC or Alberta, they used to come to Ontario to get a license, commercial license, being a visitor who is here in Canada for a temporary stay.
I see.
What are being a lawyer, you are, because road safety, because road is not only used by the truck drivers, there's many road users and they feel unsafe when a visitor is driving a commercial truck driver license. Being a lawyer, what are your thoughts?
So being a transport lawyer, I have the chance to review and represent trucking companies on hundreds of tickets. And so from my own perspective, I am seeing that Ontario's roads are very safe. As I mentioned to you before, there may be an outlier, but from my own experience, day to day, the OPP, the MTO, they are really surveying the roads.
But do you agree that a visitor should get a license commercial?
No, I don't agree that. No,
you don't agree.
No, I don't.
That was a wrong policy by the...
Yes, but it hopefully can be changed.
Yes. Richard, many truck driving schools or truck centers, driving centers, what they do, because when they know that they have done something wrong and there are loopholes in the system.
Yes.
So what they do their bankruptcies, they open with the new names. Already this thing had happened because 2 years ago when the report broke out on a fifth state, after that the defaulter truck driving schools, those who were involved in these bad practices, they shut down their operations, they did a bankruptcies, there were many shootouts in the premises and there was wage thefts also in the same industry, trucking, and they changed their company name. They open a new company on their wife name and they operate, but they were defaulters. And innocent people, they just struggle. What do you say on this?
So the Ministry of Transportation is able to ascertain whether there's a relationship between, for example, if you have a commercial vehicle license, like a CVOR, and you lose it because it's unsafe, you can't have your wife get a CVOR or your brother or your son-in-law. And in the law, it shows that any kind of family relationship or other relationship involving shareholders can be linked. So the MTO, if they are aware that there was someone who was a wrongdoer, and especially a school, then they have to be especially vigilant with regards to any startup afterward with the same people. And they can do that. They have the computer technology to do that.
So they have, but does law says that if someone is a defaulter and open a new company after their bankruptcy, that MTO can go after them or law can go after them?
If you, for example, lose your license to operate a private school, then the minute you would try again, you would, of course, the parties, the government would, of course, see that you were up to no good again. And especially, even if you have a truck or a CVOR, you will not be able to get another CVOR once you've lost your first CVOR for at least a number of years.
Ministry has those information that those who were the defaulters and now they are operating the business or truck driving schools with the different names because they were defaulters in the first one and they did a bankruptcy and now they took cash money from the people without giving the road test and now they are operating with the different names. So you agree that ministry should go after them?
Of course, if
there is a provision in the law that they can do, even after
bribery, fraud. There are many parts of the law that will allow the ministry to pursue that. Yes.
Do you agree that defaulters in this case, out of 185, whosoever is a defaulter should face the heat?
In the event the government has information which shows that a given individual took the driving test and didn't actually pass it, or if they somehow didn't go through their full training, or if some other party took their test for them, then definitely they shouldn't have a license.
So what is the maximum punishment they should face?
Well, in that case, they would, of course, have their suspension maintained.
Okay. Only suspension because they are on a work permit. There is no deputation in the law.
I don't know enough about immigration law
I
to
see.
answer your question.
Okay. So Richard, in the end, what message you want to give
Yes.
to these suspended driving licenses
So
people?
the message would be that you only have one chance to rectify this. So you have the License Appeal Tribunal pathway, and if you don't take it, then you're going to have this on your record for the rest of your livelihood. So you have to consider going to the License Appeal Tribunal. And if you don't, or even if the License Appeal Tribunal has, if you think that you're going to go to another appeal, you're going to have a second appeal, that will not realistically happen.
Only one appeal.
There's one appeal. If you don't like the decision of the License Appeal Tribunal, there you can go to the divisional court, but that's a much more complex proceeding.
So how many days after they receive the letter they have to appeal?
There's no actual timeline for that. You would hope that they could do it as soon as possible, because the sooner you do it, then you would get your 30-day hearing. And then from the hearing, then there would also be another period where the LAT has a requirement to make their decision within 30 days.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for all this information.
You're welcome.
Thank you. आ सीगे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन लॉयर मिस्टर रिचर्ड एंड जिन्हों को काफ़ी लोगों ने अप्रोच किया है बिकॉज 182 और 185 जड़े ट्रक ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस कमर्शियल क्लास ए दे वो सस्पेंड किए गए ओंटारियो मिनिस्टर ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की तरफ तो मिनिस्ट्री का कहना है कि जिन्हों ने जड़े लाइसेंस लेते हैं इन्हों के साढ़े कोल प्रूफ है और इन्होंने फ्रॉडुलेंटली डिसऑनेस्टली लाइसेंस लेते हैं बट 90 डेज तक लाइसेंस सस्पेंड रहोगे अगर तुम इनोसेंट हो तो अपील कर सकते हो जी मिनिस्ट्री ने ईमेल दी है लेकिन सवाल है मिनिस्ट्री ने यह भी कहा कि जीरो टॉलरेंस होएगी रोड सेफ्टी को लैके विल बी टफ ऑन दिस बट इनोसेंट शुड नॉट बी पनिश्ड द डिफॉल्टर शुड फेस द हीट यह भी मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि वी हैव अ जीरो टॉलरेंस ऑन दिस सो मिस्टर रिचर्ड जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन लॉयर है उन्होंने भी कहना है कि तुम अपील जरूर करो थोड़ा कोई भी क्वेश्चन है तो इन्हों के फोन नंबर पर रीच कर सकते हो